Good morning, everyone. Your Sunday weather briefing for this July 1st. Find that there is one notable change to the forecast, and that we do have a much cooler look to about a 3 day period for late this week for July 6th through the 8th. Otherwise, no major changes in the forecast versus what I presented for back on Friday. Temperature and rainfall outlooks for your Sunday. You can see to some degree the cooler look to the forecast for the 6 to 10 day time frame. Note that we are looking at a much more expansive area of near normal temperatures in that period, certainly getting into a big portion of the Corn Belt. And again, that would be a cooler trend to today's maps for mainly the July 6th through the 8th time frame. Otherwise, no other major changes. Still quite a bit of warmth in the 2 week forecast. There's still a lot of uncertainty about the 6 to 10 and 11 to 15 day forecast. If those forecasts are wrong on my part, they will turn out to be wetter than what I am showing. QPF discussion for the 1 to 5 day time frame. I would consider this forecast as too wet for the eastern portion of the Corn Belt, where there be some rainfall amounts as big as shown. I think that there will be, but I think that this map is overdoing the coverage of those rains in the eastern Corn Belt by a very big degree. No disagreements though with the bigger rains shown in the far northwestern Corn Belt and into the northern plains. Also no disagreement with the bigger rains shown along the Gulf Coast. For the day 6 to 7 time frame, no real disagreements with this. The bulk of the rain that is shown in this period is going to be in the southern portion of the Corn Belt for Friday, then probably most of the Corn Belt drying out for the weekend period. As far as your forecast is concerned, looking at the rainfall forecast for the next 5 days, again, it is going to be far northwestern portions of the Corn Belt and into the northern plains that is going to be the focal area for the biggest rainfall amounts and your best rainfall coverage. Most of the rain coming up for that area for about Tuesday night through Wednesday night, and those rains should be every bit as significant and widespread as this European model 5 day rainfall forecast shows. For the rest of the Corn Belt, some of that rain could be falling almost any day in this 5 day time frame. Going to be quite scattered in nature. Probably will be areas within that region that I just circled that see no rain at all. There will be other areas though that get rainfall just as big as what I was shown, and I do agree with this European model forecast that some of your better rains in this period will be in Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio. Again, emphasizing though that some of that rainfall that I just circled there in the 5 day time frame is going to be falling on most any day, going to be quite scattered on most any day, with just localized areas on any of those days seeing significant rainfall totals. Then as we get towards Friday and for the weekend, we are going to be seeing a cooler and drier air mass moving into the Corn Belt, so that any rainfall by the time we get to Friday is just in far southern portions of the Corn Belt. And then as we get towards the weekend period, drawing in a surface high pressure system there over northeastern portions of the Corn Belt region, I think that high pressure system will be producing a dry enough and cool enough air mass to keep the bulk of the Corn Belt dry for the upcoming weekend period. As far as temperatures are concerned, for the next couple of days anyway, still a lot of heat going to be seen in eastern portions of the nation. Above and much above normal temperatures going to be dominating that area, which would include about the eastern half of the Corn Belt. But west of there, we are looking at near or even below normal temperatures, and that would be for both today and also for tomorrow. Then we are looking at widespread heat again across the Corn Belt for the Tuesday through Thursday time frame, with temperatures running pretty easily above normal. No extreme heat, no much above normal readings, but temperatures are running a solid distance above normal across the Corn Belt for Tuesday through Thursday. And what I'm showing there is the temperature anomaly forecast for Wednesday. Your high temperatures on Wednesday looking to feature a good deal of 90 plus degree heat across a sizable portion of the Corn Belt. Not much in the way of 95 plus degree heat though, with most of that type of heat confined to more southern portions of the Corn Belt and into especially the southern plains. Still a situation where the low temperature anomalies are going to be much greater than your daytime high temperature anomalies. Looking at low temperatures for Thursday morning, note the extensive area of 70 to 75 plus degree overnight lows that morning in the Corn Belt. Should be seeing a lot of that for especially Tuesday through Thursday mornings. Probably will be some places in the Corn Belt that struggle to see lows below the 80 degree mark. Then as we get towards Friday and especially for the weekend period, that is where the forecast today has gone a good deal cooler. You can see this by temperature anomalies for Saturday from the European model, indicating a widespread widespread area of below normal temperatures that day across a big portion of the nation. Why the change? Well, you can see that our dome of high pressure is still very much present at that time in especially western and southwestern portions of the nation. But also note that by that time, we do have a surface high pressure system coming down from Canada, driving in a cooler and drier air mass into the region at that time. So really no changes as far as the dome of high pressure aloft. The big change is at the surface, where the weather models are now in agreement that a cool and dry Canadian air mass is going to be seen for the end of this week and into the weekend period. It is going to be a brief cool down though, with temperatures returning to above normal levels again by around July 9th, and that will continue right through the end of the 2-week time frame. Note that this forecast map is mislabeled. It is 500 millibars as of 7 a.m. on July 14th, not 7 p.m. on July 8th, but 7 a.m. on July 14th. Note that once again by that time, above normal heights once again being seen by all the models across a big portion of the nation. So yes, a brief cool down and a cooler forecast today for the end of this week and for the weekend, but otherwise the temperature forecast is the same near term, and we are still looking at once again above normal temperatures across a good portion of the nation once again for around July 9th and beyond. As far as the rainfall forecast is concerned, you can see that from all of the models, they are indicating to some degree a northwesterly flow aloft. There you can see it from the European ensemble, from the GFS ensemble, and from the Canadian ensemble. You look at the models by themselves, and they are all showing normal to mostly below normal rainfall for the 6 to 10 and 11 to 15 day time frames, and that's the way my forecast is going this morning. However, I want to emphasize that if my forecast is wrong, it is going to dry. In a situation like this, when you have a northwesterly flow in the summertime in the Corn Belt, oftentimes that is a weather pattern that turns out to be wetter, if not much wetter than the models would suggest. I know that you're probably all growing tired of me talking about a northwesterly flow aloft, but that's just kind of what we have to deal with right now. As we get towards the July 9th time frame and beyond, that is a forecast period that looks to feature above normal temperatures in the Corn Belt, but also a weather pattern that looks to feature a northwesterly flow aloft that could in the end turn out to be wetter than my forecast shows right now. Internationally, I want to mention first of all this morning that we did see some impressive rainfall amounts over the weekend period in western portions of the summer row crop areas of the former Soviet Union. You note that we can find a few locations there in central Ukraine that have had over 3 inches of rainfall during the last 48 hours. The forecast, though, is not impressive for rainfall as you go further east in the summer row crop areas of the former Soviet Union, looking at below normal rainfall there for the next 2 weeks. Just for the next 10 days, you can see that for most of Ukraine and areas to the east and northeast of there, under a half inch of rainfall, some places nothing at all for the next 10 days. Over in Europe continues to dry out as well. Some relatively decent rain is going to be seen for especially the next 5 days in central and southern portions of France. Otherwise, the rest of England, northern France, and into Germany looking quite dry. And then all of those areas will then again dry out for the 6 to 10 day time frame. Looking at the rainfall forecast for spring grain areas of the former Soviet Union, one of the drier forecasts that we have seen in quite some time, although even with that drier forecast, some rain is still going to be falling during the next 10 days. A 2-week forecast for the Chinese corn and soybean areas, drying out to some degree with near to below normal rainfall the next 10 days, or 2 weeks I should say, in Manchuria, but still some fairly significant rain is going to be seen there for the next 10 days anyway. A normal to mostly above normal rainfall for the North China Plain, heavy amounts of rainfall going to be seen in the next 10 days for especially the southern half of the North China Plain. Forecast still looks relatively decent for the Canadian prairies for the next 2 weeks, with near normal rainfall expected to be seen. Look for your best rainfall amounts to be seen in northern portion of the Canadian prairies versus the south. In Australian wheat areas, some nice rain still looking to fall, especially for tomorrow and Tuesday in the wheat areas of Western Australia. That area will then dry out for the rest of the 2-week time frame. Any decent rains for the next 10 days in the eastern growing areas of Australia, mainly in Victoria. Otherwise, very limited rainfall the next 10 days in New South Wales, and that area should also see below normal rainfall for the 11 to 15 day time frame. Finally, for this morning, the Indian monsoon not looking overly spectacular. Widespread below normal rainfall for the 1 to 5 day time frame, then some sort of a recovery for the 6 to 10 and 11 to 15 day periods. That's what I have for your Sunday. Everyone have a good rest of the weekend. We'll talk to you again early tomorrow morning.